It's sad to work with someone, you have the same qualification, you do the same job, but that other person is treated as a special person. But you, because of your identity, they treat you as a refugee.
This is Kakuma Refugee Camp, currently hosting around 300,000 refugees from more than 15 nationalities. The camp is located in Kenya, one of East African countries. It was established in 1992 with the majority of its residents coming from South Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, Burundi, DRC, Eritrea, Uganda, and Rwanda. Various humanitarian agencies operate in the camp and deliver different services to refugees. To facilitate these services, those organizations employ workers from both refugees and host communities. However, the workers are not contracted in the same way. Refugees are employed as incentive workers. This means they are not entitled to salaries and other benefits from the organization, even though they have same workloads and qualification as other workers from the host community. As refugees affected by this inequality issue, we are addressing it so that a solution could be found.
Looking at the workload of the teacher, the national teacher and the refugee teacher, they are just the same. I sometimes wonder why we are given 9,000 and below, while the nationals are given 50,000 and above. So for me, it's a bit unfair.
We have people with a master's degree in the camp, but they are paid lower. Because you bear an ID for being a refugee, you are told minus your qualification, you have your refugee card, so you cannot be paid higher than that. The national have allowances. They have house allowances, they have water allowances, they have transport, they are sent for training, and the refugees are not given allowances.
How can you feed this team and forget others? Let me give you an example. When we reach 12, lunchtime, the vehicle come to pick them, they go for lunch. We stay there. Follow, you don't have lunch. And then they come back in the afternoon to go on with job together with you. And another thing I can say, we are challenged psychologically. You know, when you see someone is treated well and you are not treated the same, you will have that feeling in your mind, saying, oh, I am a refugee. I am not a national staff like others. And of course, you will work, but your heart will not feel good.
This inequality between refugees and the national workers is justified by humanitarian agencies who say that refugees receive free services like food, water, and health care from humanitarian organizations, and that refugees do not pay taxes. However, the question is, how adequate are the free services that prevent refugees from receiving equal treatment from the humanitarian employers?
So as refugees, we usually get food. Yes, I don't hide that. That kind of food, like 1 kg is given for a size 1 to handle him or her for a duration of 1 month. Like, take it to be yourself, like empathize to that scenario. If you're given a food like 1 kg to handle for 1 month, are you going to hold it on? So it is not enough. We don't mind if they give us the same amount, then we pay tax. There's no problem.
I think, some infrastructure of education here. You may find 150 students in one single classroom. Do you think those children are running? No, they are not. That is why you will see there are some refugees who are a bit rich. Their children cannot learn in camp. They go outside the camp to learn there. The poor people, they accept to learn in the camp. And another thing I can tell you, health care cannot be the reason why they cannot pay us. Because of what? Go to Kakuma Mission, you will find refugees there. Go to Kakuma Town, in those private hospitals. Some refugees are there because there is no health care here in camp. Those free services they say cannot be a reason why they can't pay us. In short, I can say it is also something that I can call exploitation. Even if they say human rights, dignity, there is no dignity in camp. Better to pay those tax and have a salary.
For me, what can be done is to carry out a research after getting the challenges that are facing by the refugees. The outcome of this research must be shared to the policymakers so that they look at the challenges the refugees are facing. To look at the payment, the differences of the payment. And yet people are having the same certificates, but when it comes to payment, you find someone with a small certificate is paid higher because the person is a national and you are a refugee.
Some other organizations treat people equally. When you go to Nkomoko, refugees and national, they are well treated. They pay someone according to his knowledge, according to his position. But here, to other agencies, you may find a doctor. He has a PhD, but at the end of the month, he's given 8,000 or 10,000. What does it mean? UNHCR can see that is respecting core values that they mentioned on their papers, their core values. And then they can consult other organizations and see what they can do. Because it works. Refugees offer good service like national. There is no service that is bad because it's offered by a refugee. No, quality of service depends on education of someone and qualification of someone and the commitment of someone, not the status of someone. They can consider the level of education and the service someone offers instead of considering the status. Saying you are a refugee, you don't deserve better treatment. Saying you are national, you deserve a smart treatment. When you are sick, we take you somewhere we will have good treatment. They can end that kind of segregation. I think the best thing is to sit together with the other agencies that overcome that problem of segregating people and be their role model.
We approached the different humanitarian organizations employing refugees as incentive workers to hear their opinions. Unfortunately, they did not agree to give us their perspectives. The majority of organizations engage refugees as incentive workers, but there is one organization called Nkomoko which has introduced equality and fairness amongst workers regardless of status.
For us as an organization, we've always looked at fairness and equality as one of our core drivers in all of our HR policies. With the specific issue of working within refugee communities and having equal pay for equal work, that's an important organizational value of ours. People should be paid equally for what they do. There's all of this research done around people who feel appreciated and happy at work do better work. So it's a win for the employee and it's a win for the organization and it's a win for justice and human rights as well. So I think there are some organizations that see refugees as cheap labor, that you can have a cost savings if you hire an incentive worker on an incentive wage rather than paying somebody market rates. To me, that's exploitive labor practices, which we don't believe in and we don't stand for. So for us, the fact that we're doing this is also a chance for us to talk to other partners and say, here's how you could also do this. So that's part of our own advocacy strategy. I think this, the 1951 convention and the concept of the right to work, we see over and over again in different communities, not just in Kenya, but in other places, that there's a really big gap between the rights framework and the implementation. And it's incumbent on us to find ways to bridge that gap. My hope is that as there are more and more progressive policies being rolled out, like for example in Kenya, the Sharika Plan, and more people understanding the overall value of economic inclusion of refugees, that this becomes less and less of a hot topic. So the concept of an incentive worker is hopefully something that will die out as we see continued investment in refugee communities.
We approached the International Labour Organization in Kenya to hear their opinions, as their work is to achieve decent work for everyone.
Incentive labor or work or pay really is not something that you will find on any literature on decent work. It goes against every possible Kenyan law. It goes against the minimum wage. It goes against the Employment Act. It goes against the Refugee Act. And when it comes to employment, the Employment Act is supreme. And that is what would be used in a court of law. Well, the Constitution of Kenya as well. I mean, it speaks to non-discrimination. So, no, from a legal angle, there is really no excuse. It's more operational reasons and administrative hurdles that have sustained this for a very long time.
The ILO has been having this conversation with UNHCR for a long time. In 2005, ILO and UNHCR issued a joint report on incentive labor in Kakuma, where they recommended reviewing the standards for payment since some incentive payments appeared unduly low. 9 years later, in 2014, UNHCR published another report in which it stated that incentive work should acknowledge a refugee right to work and that rights-based standards should be established for all incentive workers. Today, incentive labor still suffers from many of the same problems identified by the ILO and UNHCR in 2005 and 2014. When will the organizations like ILO and UNHCR make the changes that we urgently need? Will it be another 20 years?